Welcome back. Well, it's only a few more hours and it will be Halloween. Well, what does Halloween mean to you? If you remember, as a Jehovah's Witness, I remember we would think it had to do with demonism, pagan practices, and a lot of wicked spirits, wickedness, whatever going on. In fact, on Halloween, when someone would come to our door, we would probably hide in the basement and play movies, put all the blinds down, make it look like no one's at home. Or some years we would all meet and go bowling at the bowling alley on Halloween night and try to kill the evening until all the trick-or-treaters are done, and then we'd go home. And then if you were a little child in school, our children in school, they would have to sit in the library on Halloween. So you imagine that, you're a small child, all the other students are having fun and they get to color, and it's kind of recreation. And then the candy, the teacher comes in with Halloween candies, but you're a Jehovah's Witness and you can't have any. So you have to sit in the library and maybe read some Watchtower stuff. So Halloween means different things to different people. Now, what happened on Halloween night? Well, maybe you didn't know this, but Russell, the founder of the Jehovah's Witness religion, he passed away on Halloween night. Halloween day, night, whatever. So we're going to look at what happened, what led up to this. The internationally famous Charles T. Russell, president of the Watchtower Bible and Tract, he started it all. Well, he died Halloween on a train in Pampas, Texas, after inspecting and investigating why his gold mine had not been producing any gold. So that's one of the things that happened. Now, this year was 1916, 2 years long past that date of 1914. Remember, the end was supposed to happen. And he was only 64 years old. His health was poor. He had experienced migraine headaches his entire life from a fall, apparently, in his youth. And the painkillers available in them days were highly addictive and detrimental, like morphine and others. And as if that wasn't bad enough, Russell was plagued with hemorrhoids, so painful that he couldn't sit in most chairs without a special cushion support, plus enough painkillers to ease his suffering. So with this sudden and unexpected end to his writing and preaching influence and prophetic updates as the mouthpiece of God, his supporters may well have panicked and wondered, well, who do we follow blindly now? Well, to the rescue came Judge Rutherford, and then the story goes on. So, yes, Russell died on Halloween. A lot of people don't know that. So today we're going to look at what the Watchtower says about Halloween. And I think that view will be the best. So we just go to the Watchtower site. And of course, right on the home page, you'll see there's an icon on Halloween. And they talk about the origin. So here's why we used to hide. Like you see the trick-or-treaters at the door. That's what they show. But here's how the Watchtower spins Halloween. They say the Bible doesn't mention it, so a holiday that many observe on October 31st each year. So they recognize it. And of course, they demonize it. They show the origin of Halloween can be traced to ancient pagan festivals, the Celtic people over 2,000 years ago. What's wrong with the Celtic people, I say? Have you ever studied the Celtic people? No. We never studied that in the Watchtower. But it's a very interesting group of people. And they were like just erased off the earth, basically by Christendom, by Christians. So then they make it pagan. So a lot of their history is unknown. Now, Halloween costumes and candy and trick-or-treat. They say according to one source. Well, which source is that? They got a little star there, I guess they'll show the source. But they're saying that this was all about the Celts and costumes and them going out and offering sweets to appease the spirits. And then they drag the Catholic clergy into this. Always have to drag the Catholic into this. and they adopt local pagan customs, and they had their church members going from house to house. So that's what they make it look like. I'm going to show you something a little different in just a minute, because that's not the story I get when I do my research. And they're very vague. They have no research here, no icons. They just throw it in. That's how they throw their twist into everything. Now, the next one is interesting. Ghosts, vampires, werewolves, witches, and zombies. If that was such a bad thing to Jehovah's Witnesses, then let's look at this guy. This guy's right off their site, Jehovah's Witnesses site, Dr. Massimo Intervene. If you don't know who he is and you're a Jehovah's Witness, just go and look on the site. And he's a activist that I'm going to turn my audio on and we'll play a little bit of him. But he's an activist that goes out and fights for you guys, the Jehovah's Witnesses, Scientology, Unification Church, all of these so-called cults in the world. He's the one going and looking to protect them. So here's what he says a little bit about Jehovah's Witnesses. I'll just make that smaller.
And a very important point is in technical terms, they are what historians and sociologists call a peace community. They are non-violent and peaceful, and they have never encountered...
So he's talking about Jehovah's Witnesses.
In technical terms, they are what is popular. And this is normally a test for the quality of religious liberty in one country. I've been studying Jehovah's Witnesses for 40 years.
So they've been studying Jehovah's Witnesses for 40 years. There's a group of these guys. Now I'm going to pull you to another screen. Let me see how this screen looks here. Okay, so the Transylvania Society Dracula. And as you can see, Massimo Intervene, he's on there. He's all part of it. You see, that's him. And we go back. There's another guy, Gordon Milton. He's also part of a committee that's working with Jehovah's Witnesses. There's a bunch of them. So this is quite interesting. So I go back to the Jehovah's Witness article, and they're talking about ghosts and vampires and werewolves, and but yet they're using Massimo Intervene. He's president of the Vampire Association of USA for the Italian sector. And his history is occult, like supporting occult, these small groups. So you tell me, do Jehovah's Witnesses, do the governing body believe this stuff that they put in here? No, they don't at all, or else they wouldn't be working with the guy that runs the Vampire Association. Why would they put this in there? They're demonizing vampires right here. It's always associated with Halloween, but vampires aren't. They don't have anything here about Halloween except the book Halloween Trivia. Come on. There's nothing about vampires, werewolves, witches, and zombies. We're going to read something on Halloween. Now, they go on to say Halloween pumpkins or jack-o'-lanterns in medieval Britain moved from door to door asking for food in return for a prayer for the dead. And there's a little bit of truth here. And we're going to talk about praying for the dead, or kind of thinking about the dead. So they make it all pagan Halloween, from pagan to party night. And this is how Jehovah's Witnesses make this. Now, do the pagan origins of Halloween matter? Is their next part of their article. And then they show, well, here's some verses in Deuteronomy, those who consult in ghosts and call upon the dead. Meaning God does not approve it. Then they go to the dead know nothing, Ecclesiastes, because the dead are unconscious. You see how they're pushing their doctrine, right? See, how do we know the dead are unconscious? There's a lot of support that there's life in another realm. There's a lot of support to that. The Bible supports life in another realm, the spirit realm. So, how can we, we don't know. None of us have been there and come back and wrote a book on this. I don't think we're supposed to know. So I think Jehovah's like, and it's not that I think, I know they take this stuff and they just twist it, and they put a lot of fear into the audience. So here's one: do not be participants with demons. You cannot drink of the cup of the Lord and the cup of the demons too. 1 Corinthians. Why are they using the New International Version? Because they like how it sounds. Sounds better than their version. Meaning those who want God's favor must avoid connection with demons. You cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of the demons. Well, why are they using Massimo over here? The Transylvania Society here, this guy, he's wearing a cape. He's wearing a vampire cape. He's what does it say he is? He's the Transylvania Journal, Dracula Vampire Studies. The Italian one. So the American chapter of the organization is run by the Reverend J. Gordon Melton, and the Italian one by Massimo Intervene. And then you can see the secret page, and so on and so forth. I can link this in the video if you want to see it. But we're going back to the Jehovah's Witness article, and they're saying, well, don't drink of the cup of the Lord and the cup of the demons too. But yet this is what they're doing. So I call hypocrite. That's what I call. So now they say, stand firm against the crafty acts of the devil, because we have a struggle against wicked spirit forces. So now all of a sudden Halloween is all part of the wicked spirit forces, meaning Christians should oppose wicked spirit forces, not pretend to celebrate with them. Is that what Halloween is? That's my question. Now, they end up by saying, why is it called Halloween? The name Halloween is connected with a pagan Celtic festival of Samhain. That's what they're going to the World Book Encyclopedia quoting. So that's kind of how they end it. They say the festival marked the start of a dark winter season, was celebrated around November 1st. In AD 7 to 800, and the Christian Church established a new holiday, All Saints' Day, on this day. All Saints' Day was also called All Hallows. Hallow means saint, or one who is holy. And the evening before All Hallows was known as All Hallows' Eve, or it came to be abbreviated All Halloween. This name was eventually shortened to Halloween. So now, they make it demonistic, they make it pagan. Now I'm going to go to Wikipedia, and let's see what Wikipedia has to say. Now, it explains the word Halloween or Halloween. Less common, All Halloween, All Hallows Eve, or All Saints Eve, is a celebration observed in many countries on October 31st, the eve of the Western Christian feast of All Saints' Day. And All Saints' Day, also known as All Hallows' Day, the Feast of All Saints, the Feast of All Hallows, the solemnity of All Saints, and All Hallow Mass, is a Christian solemnity celebrated in honor of all saints of the Church. So it's really about celebrating people that have died. And when you look at Russell, I'm going to go back to here. Do not Jehovah's Witnesses celebrate Russell? Well, they don't celebrate his death, but they celebrate Russell as a man that, he's died and he made this mark. He started their organization. Do they not celebrate Rutherford and the governing body today? Absolutely. But they definitely celebrate the founder. And it's interesting that he died on Halloween. Now, so here we have All Saints' Day, like holy people that are celebrated by the church. Is there anything wrong with that? Have you ever sat down and thought about your grandfather, or maybe your father, your mother, some holy people, some people that lived a good life and treated people the right way? I have. Do I do it on Halloween? Not necessarily, but according to this tradition, that's what they did. They on that day, they took a day to think about the ones that started the church, that did a lot of holy acts, a lot of good things. I don't see a problem with that. Now, it goes on to say it begins with the observance of All Hallowtide. and talks about that as a Western Christian season encompassing the Triduum of All Saints Eve, Halloween, All Saints Day, All Souls Day, as well as the International Day of Prayer for the Persecuted Church and Remembrance Sunday. So this is kind of takes a different light. It's kind of a church thing. The Saints' Day is remembering these holy people that have died. It'd be the same as remembering about Russell that died, or Rutherford. And Jehovah's Witnesses talk about these people a lot. Now, the time in the liturgical year, we won't read all this stuff, dedicated to remembering the dead, including saints and hallows. Now, hallows, it says, is sacred, describes something that is dedicated or set apart for the service or worship of a deity, and it's considered worthy of spiritual respect or devotion, or inspires awe or reverence among believers. Now, hallow, or we think of hallowed be thy name, when we talk about God. So hallow is a name about something sacred. So Halloween, it's a sacred day. We're now getting a different look at Halloween. We're seeing it for something that perhaps the kids would learn in school if they didn't have to go to the library. It's good to look at this stuff from a different set of eyes. And it talks about some martyrs. Christian martyr is a person considered to have died because of their testimony for Jesus or faith in Jesus. Is there anything wrong with that? Jehovah's Witnesses are always putting the young people on high that have to go to prison in Russia. Martyrs, right? And any that, of course, have ever died. Now, one theory holds that many Halloween traditions were influenced by the Celtic harvest festivals, particularly the Gaelic festival Samhain. And Samhain is a Gaelic festival on November 1st, marked the end of the harvest season and the beginning of winter, or darker half of one year. And that's kind of what we're dealing with here up in Canada. Right now it's the end of our harvest year. If you didn't get your crops in by the end of October, you're probably working in the snow. So it is also the Irish language, Samhain is also the Irish language name for November, and celebrations begin on the evening of the 31st of October, since the Celtic day began and ended at sunset. So this sounds to me like a harvest supper. And as a farmer, I grew up as a farmer, and every year in October, we would have a harvest supper. And we'd go to the community hall, and all the different people would bring in dishes, no charge, and it'd be where all the community could visit and talk about their harvest. This is what this sounds like to me. This is not what the Watchtower paints Samhain as being. So it goes on to say Samhain, which are believed to have pagan roots. Well, paganism is a term first used in the 4th century by the early Christians for people in the Roman Empire who practiced polytheism. Well, that's more than one God, right? Do not Jehovah's Witnesses practice polytheism? Do they not believe that in the beginning God created his son Jesus, and through Jesus and God created everything? Polytheism. There's more than one God. So there's other gods, like Satan was another god that was created, originally an angel. So according to the Bible, there's myriads of angels, gods. So paganism was first used in the 4th century by the Christians. Jehovah's Witnesses didn't invent this name. So it was back then, and it was for the people in the Roman Empire who practiced polytheism, or ethnic religions other than Judaism. And in the time of the Roman Empire, individuals fell into pagan class either because they were, they either went this way or that way, so that's where it all started. This pagan word, pagan, is not an evil thing by any means. And I think it's important when we get out of as a JW or ex-JW, that we look into a little bit of this, because we end up carrying that record that this Halloween is evil, it's about vampires and that. I don't see any of that here. And I'll put the references in, you guys can read it. Now, some go further and suggest that Samhain may have been Christianized as All Hallows Day. Remember, Hallows is not a bad thing. Hallowed be thy name. It's not a bad thing. It's referring to something holy, a deity, God. Along with this, it's Eve by the early church, and other academics believe Halloween began solely as a Christian holiday, being vigil of All Hallows Day. So I don't see any vampires or witches going on here. Celebrated in Ireland and Scotland for centuries, Irish and Scottish immigrants took many Halloween customs to the North America in the 19th century, and then through America influence, various Halloween customs spread to other countries. So here's one thing I thought was interesting. I'm going to find it here. Popular Halloween activities include trick-or-treating. Now, is this the one? Or the related guising. Trick-or-treating is a traditional Halloween custom. And it came from Canada. I'm sure I've seen it here. Let's go back here. Trick-or-treating is a traditional Halloween custom for children and adults in some countries. And nope, it's not there. I'll see if I can find it. I couldn't find it, but I did read it that some of this stuff even started in Canada, like the trick-or-treating. So yeah, Halloween's taken a different turn. It's become the second largest advertising industry now, other than Christmas. It's next to Christmas, and that's how big Halloween has become. But to say that, to demonize Halloween, like Jehovah's Witnesses have done in their article, I think is wrong. And I think they're not being completely honest with people about how they view vampires when they're using the head of the Vampire Association to lobby for them. So that's, I guess, the rest of the story on Halloween. Gives you a little bit on Russell, a little bit on how Jehovah's Witnesses feel about it, and then some history from Wikipedia. You know, here it was a Celtic holiday about celebrating the harvest being done, just like a harvest supper. So now you have the rest of the story. So until next time, keep living your life with love. Bye for now.
Oh, hello! My name is Vern. Join the channel. We cover JW World News, and we give you the rest of the story. Today, we're going to the Watchtower, and we have lives on Tuesday nights and Saturdays, and an excellent community. So join the channel and watch as we crash into the Watchtower. Here it is. I see it coming. Woo! Join us as we report in on the Watchtower.